Now it's just like every fucking thing else.
One, when you're a publicly traded company, that's almost impossible to do.
I'm talking about the whole business. I'm not just talking about one company. I'm talking about the whole business.
I'm putting it in perspective of how would you go back to that.
It's nothing to go honestly, back to. There's companies out there that are doing it. I think PWG does a great job of presenting a solid wrestling product. You know, they know their fans are a little bit smarter than most, or at least they think they are. And so, you know, they know they can get away with doing shit like grenade spots and stuff in PWG, they know their audience. People don't know their audience. You know what WWE's audience is? 50-year-old white men. And they're trying to that's the median age, and that's the majority demographic. The numbers are there.
50 years old the median age.
Look it up right now. The median age of the WWE's audience. Look that shit up right now. He's got his computer right now. It's not just something I pulled out of my ass. The median age is it's middle-aged white men. You pulling it up?
Nearly double since 2000. Gone up 54.
54.
Yeah, 54.
54 is the median age. Okay, so the average WWE fan is like let's just say a 50-year-old white guy.
54.
Okay? And they're trying to present bubblegum kitty shit. It's not working. These guys remember. They still remember San Martino. They still remember, all that shit.
17 years ago it was 28, but now it's 54.
These guys want at least one badass that they can believe in, even if they take their grandkids to see Finn Balor and shit. Give them something. You know what I'm saying? It's different. They're serving two different masters, a television network and the internet. Nothing is in sync. No one is agreeing on anything because they're trying to market to too many different types of demographics at the same time.
I guess I was going more for the argument that that's not necessarily the target demographic.
It's not the target demographic, but that's their audience, which is the problem.
I'll agree with you on that. I do agree with you on that.
Like if you want your target audience to be if you want your audience to be a certain people, you got to market to those people. They don't know how to be cool. They don't know what teenagers and shit like today. They don't.
So where do you think that gets misconstrued as to where, on the creative side or on the business side, that they're like, okay, so we're going to push this, to kids or teenagers or whatever it is, even though the audience is mainly older men?
It's two things. It's one, they think the older men are just there bringing their families, but really they are the ones that want to watch wrestling. Two, you have a television network, major network, USA Network. Okay, they're under the NBC Universal umbrella. All right, and there's certain standards and practices, publicly traded company. They don't know a happy medium between developing a product for children and a product that, while it's family friendly, is clearly not for children. Like they just don't know how to write like that. They just don't have any writers that know how to do it. Like I think it's just it's a matter of skill. I just don't think they have this skill to find their audience right for that audience.
You've gone and the mindset of the creative is to target towards children, and you make a PG product to appease, the network, right? How would you go back to appeasing that older audience with who more than likely would be a TV 14 product? How do you do that? can you do that?
The funny thing is, they're trying to appeal to kids, and they're not even doing that.
Well, no, I yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not even appealing to the people who they
But
think they're appealing to.
I know people who bring their
No,
6-7-year-olds to the shows
because it's something to do. WWE's in town. Like, it's something to do. Of course, it's like the fucking circus.
But if you go back to an Attitude Era product in this modern society, would you be able to do that?
Watch Raw now and watch a Raw from 98. There's fucking kids in the audience in 98.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Like, I'm just.
There
what
are
are
more
you saying?
kids watching, but it's the today's society
is pussy. Yes, we know.
No, I don't agree that it's right. But how do you go in such a PC society nowadays where
you stop giving a fuck? That's the problem. Everyone.
So I think
all people do these days is they do things and they apologize for them. They apologize for them before they even do it. This is the whole Jinder Mahal Nakamura shit that just happened a few weeks ago. They're issuing statements and apologies. You didn't want people to get pissed off after that? You didn't want your audience to be pissed off to the point where they're saying that's too you don't want that? You don't want your heels to be hated on that level? What the fuck are you apologizing for?
So then I guess the argument is, if the WWE is a public traded company, is that right? And you have to worry about being publicly traded and stockholders and this and that. And then
I've always said the WWE is never going to get hot again until they go private.
That's I guess that's my question is, can you only save, or I don't want to say save, but make it a big deal again if you...
Vince has a decision to make. If I was Vince, I would just do shit to see what would happen. I would just make my product the way I want to make my product and take the fucking consequences. Who knows? It could go one or two ways. Either you lose everything, or shit gets hot and you get everything. I would take that gamble. Personally.
I mean, that's
I don't think he has.
I don't disagree with you.
I don't think he has anything to lose by taking the gamble. He's a 70-something-year-old man. Make the kind of show that you want to fucking make. Fuck these suits. There's too many filters. There's too many, got to go through this guy, get approval from this guy to get approval from this guy. There's too much of that right now. Like, in general. Even in NXT, when I'm working in NXT, we can't make a simple decision of, do we want to put this coffee mug on William Regal's desk without getting 5 guys' approval for it? Without asking one guy, and he said, okay, sounds good to me. Well, let me ask Hunter, see if it's okay. It's like, you can't do anything.
Everybody's got a boss, and everybody's, it's I'm not arguing, your point. I'm just
I just feel like you want the product to be better, but you don't want them to change anything. That's just how I feel. That's the vibe I'm getting from you.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to, for the sake of discussion for a lot of this, is that how do you do these certain things in a situation where it's borderline impossible?
It's not impossible, though. It's impossible.
It's impossible when you're a publicly traded company that deals with multi-million dollars in sponsorship, that deals with having to appease the board of a television network.
It's look at all these publicly traded companies that do whatever the fuck they want. Look at them. Look, I'm just saying, WWE, if they were a little more confident in the popularity of their product, they would be going out on a limb a lot more. This USA Network, this deal is almost up.
And I mean, right? I'm going to sit here and say this right now. I don't disagree with anything that you're saying. I really don't. I don't even barely watch the product as it is, because I feel like it's become too,
formulaic.
Not that. It's just become, all the things we've been sitting here and discussing for the last 2 hours now. It's it is what it is. I'm just trying to figure out how you take a company the size of the WWE, a company as public as the WWE, and you realistically turn it around without it just completely going belly up?
It's not gonna go belly up. I really think it needs to, but you gotta change. You gotta shake it to its foundation, though. I mean, these days, companies and entrepreneurs, it's about taking risk.
Like, I think somebody like you or I or Ricky or whoever could go and start up a company and be that now. I don't know that you can take a company as established right now as the WWE and flip it on its head like that, though.
I think you can. I think with vision, with vision, you can. No, nothing is impossible. With vision, you can. It's nothing for a company that was public to go back to being private, to get smaller again. You know, maybe you gotta fire all the fucking, you know, useless ass, you know, PAs and you know, pencil pushers. Oh well. But I think the company, if they went back private, they would be making a lot more money in the long term. Because really, most of their revenue.
I mean, at that point, you don't have to run your decisions by anybody that's got stake in the company.
Yeah, most of their revenue is from the television, is from their TV deal anyway. That's where most of the revenue is coming from. I just think that they would make a lot more money by just kind of, you know, it'll never happen, but I think they would make a lot more money long term by just kind of scaling back a little bit. It's just too big of a company in general, and it doesn't need to be that big.
So back to the ideal promotion.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off then. I was just trying to...
Yeah.
Just to have a bit of a discussion around that.
So who would you cater to, Howie? What would your top guys look like? What demographic, I mean?
I think it doesn't matter what the demographic is as long as you choose one and stick to it. So, like, my demographic, I'm going for, you know, college guys, you know, 18 to 25-year-old men.
The frat house.
Are they the ones with money? Are they the ones with money?
They'll pay to fucking party. They will pay to party.
So if my
wrestling shows are parties and not shows where everyone's just kind of sitting down and
like NXT or what? Like, define a party.
All parties is what Raws used to look like. Those used to look like in Nitros. Those were parties. You know what I'm saying?
It needs to be a rock concert. It doesn't need to be
people were
going
standing
to see
out
the symphony.
Yeah, exactly. You know, wrestling shows now look like the fucking opera. Everyone's just sitting down. People only stand up. People only stand up during the entrances. People only, you know, clap when they. It's like
there's a bit of a place for that. I mean, like with the Japanese scene, it's a little bit different.
Intimacy of the NXT crowd.
But even the Japanese, they do that just because they're respectful of the talent, and they don't want to be.
Yeah,
they don't want to be. They don't want to take away from the talent. But when it's time to get into the match, they get into the match. These people, like, I don't understand why you pay all this money, sit front row, you're front row of every fucking Raw, you know, every SmackDown, every pay-per-view, and you're just sitting there, not reacting to anything.
That's a whole nother argument about those guys that buy tickets to every single show and sit front row. I can't.
I want to have parties. I want parties, not symphonies. You know what I'm saying? So
let me ask you this:
what's the typical show go like? I'm still trying to figure out the whole party concept.
We've been talking with our friend Simon Says. Simon,
yeah, you can say his name.
I don't know what to properly refer to him as.
I call him Simon Time. He's on my phone as Simon Time.
Simon, former, you know, basically, I don't want to say complete head of Vintage, but just from the stories that he's told us about his shows, it feels like, is that something that you would be
high energy?
You know, just people jumping the rail.
Not jumping the rail. You gotta have security there, but getting
people, you know, agitated, making people believe things.
It just needs to be it needs to be an overall vibe. Like, you go into certain establishments, you get a vibe. You know what I'm saying? Used to get vibes going to wrestling shows.
Like
now,
we had tonight walking into where we walked
exactly, the restaurant earlier. You get a certain vibe. You know what I'm saying?
The way it's set up, the TV,
the way it's set up, the look, the crowd that's there, it's a certain vibe because that restaurant was made for a specific audience, a specific target audience. It's no different. You're going to attract who you want to attract. So if I have an environment that's more of that looks more like a party with a wrestling ring in the middle than just a wrestling show where everyone just files in and, you know, a little merch table on the side and just everything is just sameness because these promoters, they just want to make WWE lights. They don't want to make, you know, anything that's unique really. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm trying to make a party environment, I'm gonna have the whole kit and caboodle. It's gonna be alcohol flowing.
It's just gonna sell booze.
Yo, yeah, dude. The booze is gonna bring us the money.
Okay.
Especially at the house.
Does your wrestling ring have like advertisements on the side or whatever?
Local sponsorships. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You know, local relevant sponsorships. You know, so you know the restaurant or you know the whatever. Just I think we try to make wrestling so much of a variety show, and as far as like styles and wrestling styles, it needs to be. But like as far as presentation wise, you know,
yeah, we
want it to be fun for the whole family. When you think about it, though, fun for the whole family is really fun for the adults, and the kids want to be like their parents, so they're gonna fucking have fun too.
Do your shows have pyro or special effects?
No, it's not. I don't have to budget for that.
Just
shit.
lights?
Yeah,
basic
lights.
lights.
Maybe a smoke machine. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't have fucking money for pyro, and probably I wouldn't be in buildings where I could do that shit either.
So would you compare what you would run, I guess now as your promotion comparable to like early to mid 2000s ROH?
Yeah.
Or like a current day PWG?
Yeah, see, PWG is the only show right now that looks like those shows look like parties.
Yeah, I see
what you mean. It looks like everyone's just standing up the whole time. Pretty much, they're just having fun. Those are parties because PWG knows their audience. They don't care if they don't need everybody to show up. They just need their audience to show up.
So, do you feel like a company like Ring of Honor lost its way when they started worrying about TV and sponsorship and
definitely
trying to be the company to compete with a TNA and an ROH
definitely.
or a WWE?
Because ROH, especially if you look at where TNA is at now, you can tell ROH thought that TNA was just going to skyrocket on past them, which is why they started doing all that shit they did, you know, with Sinclair broadcasting and all that. If ROH would have just stayed the same ROH they were in 2006, 2007, they'd be the hottest thing in the industry right now. Now it's Japan.
Commentary. Table by the ring or off to the side, and how many people?
I think you're getting a little too...
Yeah, it's a little too... That's specific.
What, 2 people? 3 people? What do you prefer? What do you think is best?
I mean, it
depends on the personalities.
Well, for one, if I'm starting out my indie company, I'm probably not going to have TV.
That's the other thing.
What am I going to have a 3-man booth for? I mean, if I have a local...
PWG has commentary, though, right?
They're also a tape-traded company.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
I mean, but if I'm just doing live shows, I don't even need a commentary.
No commentary.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, but...
Although I kind of like the idea of potentially having, you know, a commentary table broadcast it over a loudspeaker at a show like that. I think that's something that could take off.
Yeah, I thought about like you know, if you ever seen like what's that rollerblading movie?
Rollerball? Not roller. Rollerball? Rollerball? Huh? Brink? The Disney movie? I don't know.
Nah, it was the one that had a few of those WWE guys in there from like the early 2000s.
Oh, Rollerball, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Rollerball.
Wasn't Paul Heyman in that or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. Yeah, that movie.
But then it was like during the thing, like you had the announcer kind of speaking over the PA. Yeah, I thought about having something like that, you know.
Okay.
But at the same time, you don't want someone talking the whole time. Like the guy really has to know how to lay out. If he's doing something like that. That's just. But yeah, we're getting into.
That's semantics at this point.
Same questions.
I agree with Howie. It needs to be.
So your promotion would be his promotion. You wouldn't do
No.
anything
I like the PWG. Early 2000s to mid 2000s ROH type style of show. I remember going to shows for Ring of Honor up in Philly at the National Guard Armory, and it would be a ring, the guardrails, a truss entrance, and you'd have the working lights, I guess is the best way to put them. And when the house lights went down and the music came up, place went fucking nuts. That's what you need.
And I think a part of that, it's like there's no real us versus them mentality in any company anymore, besides PWG, where it's like we are the true alternative. Like we are the true.
See, that's another thing. You don't need to be competition to the WWE. You don't need to be a company that needs to be like, oh, I need to be here. If you're putting money in your pocket, you're drawing an audience, and you have a loyal fan base, it's all that matters. You don't need to be.
I just think that us versus them mentality, that it's like it's the vibe. It contributes to that vibe that you get that I was talking about. You know what I'm saying? We're like ECW. You knew when you were watching ECW, these aren't the same fans that are sitting in Raw every week. Some of them are, but these aren't the same fans that are sitting in Raw every single week. You knew, just like now, when you watch PWG, these aren't the same fans that are sitting in Raw and Smack. It's just not. It's different. It's a different vibe.
Yep.
Whole different crowd. And they take pride in the fact that they are a whole different crowd, that it's a different vibe. And that contributes to the overall, I think, coolness of the product.
I think also a thing with PWG, since we're discussing, is that their talent is cut and dry, and you don't see the backstage pull back the curtain kind of stuff with them. Everything just feels real and like a fight until you get your situations where guys are wrestling in slow motion, or you take a spot onto a pile of Legos.
And I guarantee you, if every single PWG match was like that, it would get old real quick.
But I completely agree with you. I really feel like PWG might be the best I don't want to say non-mainstream, but the best.
They're the best
alternative
overall.
It's the best wrestling company
product.
Without TV. It's the best,
and not that matters. It doesn't need TV.
Right? It doesn't matter.
But I agree with you. I like that it feels like a party. I feel like everybody can go to that. And that's a show that feels like a party, and the kids can go to those shows. It's a family friendly atmosphere,
right?
With real
But people still are
balls to the walls
at
entertainment and wrestling and just it's the mentality of those shows is just.
It's just different. It's different. That's the thing. It's just different. I mean,
not like we're stroking the shaft of PWG here, but
and I don't even watch that much PWG. But when I do, I just always have a good time because I know that the people in the audience are having a good time.
And then the other thing about PWG is it almost feels like that mentality that we were discussing earlier about tape trading. That I feel like a lot of the stuff that people are really talking about that's not mainstream comes from PWG because they're just that in tune with what they're doing.
Free Mike Bailey, by the way, who's banned from working in America right now because of some visa issues. I like Mike Bailey. I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, we appreciate that. So is this a good place to end it?
Sure. What? 2 hours and 10 minutes in? Yeah.
Yeah, why not? So we've covered a lot of ground.
This is just like a shit box of talk.
It's a shit box of talk.
We still have so much more we can talk about.
Oh, I know.
We
but I don't want to do it without Simon. I don't want to
do
it without Simon.
No, are we going to get Simon here?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Soon. Hopefully within a week. or sooner. Or, you know. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Can I get up and take a piss?
Absolutely.
All right.
This has been.
If you want to hear more from me, though, you can find me at deep6podcast.com.
Nah, bruh. Keep that. Howie, where can people find you?
Natural Mandela on Twitter. Natural Howie on Instagram.
Steve.
Steven_Spivak, Twitter, Instagram, deep6podcast.com.
2 L's in Mandela, by the way.
Defiant Giant Productions on YouTube. Defiant Giant Productions on Instagram and Facebook. This has been Defiant Giant Radio.